my name is Justine. I am a LARPer, first of all, but I also design LARPs and organize LARPs. I do live in Switzerland. I first talked about this kind of project with Słowik in a cute apartment in Spain between two NPC runs that we did there. And that's where it got me. I was super hyped about creating this LARP based on a world designed by Levi that I hope will join us later. And was super stoked about bringing something to life that is that I've been kind of fascinated about, because I read the Shadow and Bones books, and I love those, and I have watched the Netflix series that was also the aesthetics of those were great, and we've been going on and on and on and on, and so I'm super happy to be on board with this, and we've been working tirelessly, and I do hope that we can answer a lot of questions, bring a little bit more clarity to those who are not sure if this is the LARP for you, and just bring all of them into the chat, and would be amazing to see you next year in Poland at Moszna.
My name is Krassowski. I'm from the core LarpVenture team. I'm LARPing for a very long time, and I'm super excited about this project. And I look at it from the perspective of physical experiences and activities that players and also partly NPCs will be able to take part in. I like this shiny piece of Krystalivm very much. And I'm excited that I'm already doing something for the project. Lots of exciting things are happening right now around the project. Excitement, that's the word.
I'm Słowik. I'm also a part of the core LarpVenture team. And I am so happy that people I love working with are joining this project, because when I've heard about this world that Levi was creating some time ago, I wanted to bring it to life, and bringing a bit of steampunk to the table, and bringing a bit of practical design to the table, and bringing this whole dark vibe of Shadow and Bone. I think we've got those ingredients that can make a great thing, that can make a great LARP altogether. And I think that this project will have some things that we didn't see often in LARP community, and some approaches for design that you might find interesting and a bit different. So if you've read the LARP guide already, you probably have noticed some of them, and maybe we'll go through them also here at the session. So stay with us. And let's hear your questions too. So remember, you can write them on the chat, and we will answer them one by one. But first, let's start from the beginning and from the questions that we've already had received from other people. So first of all, steampunk. Some people have a very set in stone vision of steampunk, and we've been asked, how do we approach this subject, and how steampunk this LARP or this world is?
Like, why we call it steampunk? It's a society and a world that is in a breakthrough, like through technology, through things escalating quite quickly and undergoing a huge change. If you don't like the word steam, you could just call it crystal punk, because this is essentially what is driving this change in this world. In the beginning, we felt that maybe with steampunk, more people can associate what this world is about. But no, it is not about the classical top hats with the cogs and wheels and everything being about steam, because this is not what is driving the change in the world. I just see the comment, I love crystal punk. Okay, let's do it. We will call it crystal punk. So yeah, if you're familiar with, for example, Shadow and Bones or material that we called inspiration in the design document, you might recognize them also as not something that you would initially associate with steampunk. There are maybe like weird, fantastical technological elements that are not quite explained and being powered by certain advancements. That could be magic. That could be some material, like we have it, like the crystal, or it could be like steam, etc. It could be all together. Nobody knows. In the end, this is what Krystalivm is about. It's crystal punk. Okay, I think we coined that now. We can go with that. You might have seen the costumes that have been posted, like the first concept for those costumes that we go with. There is a Pinterest board for the aesthetics and the style. And if you really want to dive deeper into it, just go to the Netflix series, watch it. You do not have to like it, because as a Shadow and Bone reader of the books, you know, the books and the series or the movies are often like a dissonance, but the aesthetic is quite good, I feel. So this is where we are going with the aesthetic. It's about crystals. It's not about steams and cogwheels. So if this is not your thing, do not worry. It's about the technological change in the world that is at this breakthrough, quite quickly advancing, and at the same time being torn by war and a revolution ongoing.
We also are using those themes or topics that are also present in some of the steampunk novels or steampunk works that are woven around some kind of a revolution. Is it a revolution for the people, or for material, or for approach for the world? Some darker vibes, some kind of war happening, change that we do not understand at the beginning and we want to grasp it, and all the social change that goes with it and how it affects the people. So in this case, we are also using some of those themes and those topics that we feel suitable for this darker side of the story, because some of the people are also connecting steampunk with very like colorful and very light, and we want to go to these darker areas, and we want to delve more about human nature, about power that is given to the people and what we can do with it, some kind of difficult decisions and difficult choices to make, how we can improve the world or fight some kind of oppression that is set on us by the world. So we also want to introduce that we feel also those topics are steampunk related. But I also love the idea of crystal punk. Let's go with it. I hope so. Okay, I hope it was enough for you, for the person who asked the question. The second question that was asked was, so is it a school LARP, like we have plenty recently?
I'll go with the easy part. No, it's not a school. Thank you. So let me just go on for some moments about that. It's more of a headquarters and that is centered around research of this magical new mysterious substance of Krystalivm that was discovered, and its use was initially discovered in the same place that the game takes place in. So it's the headquarters of this Project Firestarter. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. And there will be some activities connected to learning some new stuff, but this will be an exception to what the game is about, not the rule. So part of the experience will be getting to know, especially connected to particular uses within the specialties that the players might take up during the game. But after the initial phase of getting to know the technology, on the first LARP, but maybe the second or the third day, emphasis will be put on activities with that set, on actually participating in exploring what the technology can do. How can we utilize the properties of the material? What are the properties of the material? How do we go about doing war with this material? Because we are at war and we want to free the people of the empire from tyranny. Basically, we are looking for new means of spreading revolution.
I think why it might look a little bit like a school LARP is because we mentioned a lot the different ranks that come in. However, there are like these elements of learning from each other that Krassos mentioned already, which are more centered about, getting people into this place to get intel and get insights on how the specific country managed to become independent. So this is more an exchange of minds and start to have an exchange with others and learn from those that have a little bit more experience in that. The other part is that Krystalivm is quite unknown. So, of course, everyone wants to also learn about that from those who are using it, invented all this machineries, and also get proficient in it, start to develop new methods of using it, etc. So this is this element that it feels a little bit like schooling. But you could see it more as a conference in that case. It is essentially a military LARP still. So ranks do matter. Where you're in a hierarchy really does matter as well. However, nobody is going to treat the characters like they're students in a school. Those are adults. They have accomplished great things already. Some more, some less, but this is really on an individual level. But it's not about having students or children in front of NPCs or of teachers that are being schooled. It is really about how can we overthrow the Iron Tzar? How can we make the world better for everyone? And this is really the whole concept and the whole thought of this LARP. We want to start a revolution. How do we do that? And how do we get to that point? And so it's not only about learning from those who have been successful with the rebellion, but also finding out what will work in the country that my character is from. Because we have so many different backgrounds, and it is absolutely clear that what has worked in one place will definitely not work in another place. So it's also about exchange in the groups that the characters are from, to find out, hey, how do we adapt those ideas that we are hearing about in our world, in our country, in our towns, and how do we bring our people to believe in that? Because the ingredients might be similar, but you need to put them together in a different way.
It's also about the structure of the game itself. So if we are thinking about school LARPs or university LARPs, the timetable is all about the activities in the school. And we want to use different structures for different episodes of or different chapters of Krystalivm. So we want each and every LARP to be different, to have a different schedule, to have a different activities. We don't want a repetition. So we are not basing this LARP, this structure, like the school-based timetable with lectures or with classes like that. We will have elements of training, but first of all, it will be assessment of the people and their capacity and their skills. And it will be all about bringing the right people to the right specialties. So it will be more checking who is better breacher and who is better medic, who is more talented.
Or who is more committed and who is actually applying themselves to a particular path.
And then, if the people will be divided into specialties, there will be a different type of training based on the specialty and limited knowledge or advanced knowledge in each area. And then we hope for our troopers also to hit the front, to experience the war, to have a fight and to use in practice the skills they've been training. And we also think of those side events, so we can base them around a particular battle, for example, and we can learn if our troopers will be capable of winning the fight and maybe come back with some medals and getting higher ranks, or maybe this battle will be lost and the front line will change accordingly. So in that matter also, it's less about a school and a structure, repetitive structure. It's about the structure that will be changing its course with the LARP itself. Next one. We've been asked about what kind of experience people will have, what kind of activities we prepare for the people at the LARP, and how much it is different for different specialties.
Don't get me started about that, because, how much time have we got? So I'll try to be just brief and teasing, not explaining everything in details. So the activities connected to the specialties will be, let's say, imagine specialized military units. Each of the units have their own tasks to do at the battlefield or at the grander battlefield, or at the institution of making war with another country. There are some that will be focused on the basic ground level studies of Krystalivm. So the activities will be centered around utilizing the substance that the whole thing is about in different ways, transforming it, challenging its properties, trying to find out of any additional properties or any additional uses based on the ways that we can transform this piece of Krystalivm by grinding it, by mixing it with different other substances, utilizing it maybe to power some inventions. Others, let's say spies, for example, might be more politically inclined in using Krystalivm powered devices for enhanced interrogation, let's say. And I'm not saying anything more about that because it's secret and for spies. But maybe the spies will also be conducting some counter-espionage activities within the institution, or preparing reconnaissance and intelligence gathering around the planned operations that they, with their groups respectively, will conduct within their countries of origin. So their special military operations need intelligence to be prepared to actually be able to challenge the established powers over there. Breachers, of course, breachers will be fighting, physically involved in fighting, in utilizing the peak technology of Krystalivm to be invincible fighters, and they will engage in physical activities utilizing those technologies. And also I'm not going into any spoilers around that because I'm not comfortable with sharing those information right now. So there is a spectrum.
It's classified. Just say It's classified.
It's just, yes, that's the perfect expression for that. Maybe if any one of you wants to elaborate something about that.
I think it's great to leave a little bit of mystery I mean, in the end, you can also shape what your character and your division is about, because this is the initial setup is, of course, you come to this place that is kind of inviting you to start a rebellion at your home countries, at your character's home countries. But how you do that and how you divide this amongst yourself, how you find a place in this for your character, how devoted your character is about this, is pretty much also up to you, and also to shape and define it. So this is a player-driven experience. I think we try to stress it throughout the design document, but this is not something driven by NPCs or by this overarching plot that we have. The decisions that you and your characters do, they will impact the whole story. They will impact the world and how your country is progressing, if it's doing well or not so well, if the revolution is taking place there or not. So it's all up in your hands. So we want to give really as much as freedom and as much as decision power to the players.
I think what is also very important to stress is that it's not only about the war. And as always, when people from different backgrounds and different approaches and different worldviews gather in one place, there is a lot of different things going on. Some kind of politics, some kind of power play, maybe some camaraderie and friendship, maybe some deeper emotions connecting the characters together, bonds created throughout the training and fighting together, some goals being achieved, some goals not, some people wanting the same and who will get it and who won't. A lot of decisions will be made by players themselves. Some of players will take on the roles of leaders from their country, and it will be also on their side to make some decisions. We as organizers or NPCs won't be deciding who will become a breacher and who will become a medic or engineer. Players themselves will be deciding on that, will be trying to fit the shoes of the specialty and trying to convince the leaders that they are the best, better than somebody else who is also waiting for that spot. And it will be up to leaders to decide who will be better in which role. And maybe not always the skills will be guiding them. Maybe there will be also some politics behind that. And I think it's important to think about that too. So it's not all about the training. There will be moments when our troopers will take off their official uniforms if they want to, and they can join the evenings in officers' mess to play cards, to share stories, maybe share their previous experiences at war. Maybe some of them were already killing people at war. Maybe some of them have second thoughts. Maybe some of them will show off with their skills and with their experiences. So we want to create this kind of military, retro, noir, dark vibe for the whole setting when we want to tell the stories about particular characters. And we want to shape the characters with the events that are taking place, but we want you, players, to shape those characters and to decide how it affects them. And that's why we want to design a trilogy, so those characters can grow, can achieve their goals, or can be crushed by the world that is cruel. And it will be your decision, and you will take the story further. So those activities will be different, and you will have plenty to choose from, but we want also to tell the stories. And we want to prepare the characters that are already part of some existing stories for you to grow and to expand. Okay, so I think the question at the chat is connecting nicely to the previous one. In the LARP guide says that we will learn about specialties at the LARP, getting taught to be a medic, etc., unless we choose a higher rank. So we will have characters that already have basic knowledge about their unique talent, skills, or will this be the first time we gonna get in touch with it? So troopers versus leaders.
I think this is a question where you can answer yes and no. Because it depends on the character, absolutely. There will be characters and not only leaders that already have knowledge of being a medic or have been to war already or have been spying already. And to what extent, it depends. So those are all pre-written characters that work in their group and have connection to outside characters from other countries, maybe, right? And some of them might have been chosen to join this meeting for other qualities, for being talented, strong-minded, maybe very accomplished, or maybe very looked up in their community, maybe having the right mindset. So there is a variety, and this is why we have a casting process where you can state those things. Also, like what type of archetype are you interested in? Is this someone already accomplished, or is this someone basically new to that topic? What do you want to explore in a game like this? What is interesting to you? What topics do you want to dive deeper in? So it's really a game where we shape the characters around the story and cast you to experience that will most likely satisfy you. And from then on, once you get the character, you are free to shape it in any way that you want it to experience this world. And I think there is this quote like war changes everyone, like us, etc. And war can change this character as well. So someone that has been hopeful or a good medic can then suddenly become someone that is like, okay, this is hopeless. I cannot do this anymore. I want to go a different path. I arrive at this meeting and I have been this battle medic and I cannot see this anymore. I want to do something else. So the path is not extremely clear. You make the path for your character. You find the way for your character and for the individual story. And there's a follow-up question if that means that every character has the option to change into any profession or if anything is pre-decided. I mean, your character might have a background. I would use the medic because it's coming easy to mind. Your character can have a background of being a healer in their town, right? But that does not mean that they will or have to follow that once they arrived at this Project Firestarter base, right? So maybe someone tells them, oh, you have been a healer and you should become a medic right now. And your character is really like, no, I want to be in the first line. I want to be really in the first line and I want to do something else. And then you can fight for that. And we do not decide previously where your character ends up and which rank they will have. They will, accomplish that during the game. You influence this during the game. You choose the path, and it's also really player decided and player driven. It is a little bit different for leader characters. They arrive there to be at the front and to teach maybe others. Like I have a lot of knowledge in the field of healing. This is how we do it. This is how we can combine it with Krystalivm, etc. Even leaders can have a change of mind. Even they can evolve. Maybe in the second episode, a leader character that has been the greatest medic that there has been has a change of mind and is saying, I do not want to do this anymore. I cannot see all this hurt people. I cannot put them together over and over again. I do not want to do this anymore. And then you have the opportunity.
Give me a weapon. I want to inflict the damage.
Exactly, something like this. So it's in your hands. It's really in your hands. We give it into your hands. You decide where your character goes. There is no path that is cemented, right? It might be more difficult to change it later on, but it's not impossible, right? It's like we try to make it realistic. So you cannot just say like, wow, out of nothing, I'm just something else now. But you can work for it. You can shape it, and you can change it. And it's really in your hands.
And also, you need to prove yourself that you will be a good second specialty. And we are also thinking, and we are hoping very silently, that we will have multi-class characters. So maybe we'll have a medic breacher, for example. Why not? If they will be wanting that, and they will work for that, and they will make other characters, the leaders, to make that decision and to give them the second specialty, there is a place and time for that. Okay, if we are with the characters, then another question about the characters, and this time it's not about development, but about can I change the character between episodes. So chapter 1, I've played another character, and then I don't want to continue with that, but I want a new character and to start fresh. Is it possible? Or how important it is to continue with the same character throughout the trilogy?
I'm trying to remember, have we talked about this? Because I don't remember if we had a final decision about such a situation.
We were thinking that this game is designed as trilogy, but can be played separately. That means you can go for one episode and end your game there and your story there. So I don't see a reason why you cannot join the chapter 2 as a different character. But our thinking of this story is like a story that is unfolding and growing. So we were thinking about characters being changed by episodes, by LARPs, by side events, and so on and so on. So we want to give you the opportunity for your character to grow and for you to shape your character, not only at chapters, so at the big 3 events in the story, but also at the smaller events we will introduce, side missions, and between the episodes too. But if you are not comfortable with the character, I believe that there is also a possibility to start over. But probably for some kind of experience, you will need to repeat this from the start. So you will need to prove yourself as a new character, as somebody else. It will be, of course, easier because you've already been there and you've already seen how it's working. But it's up to you to start fresh and to start another story, let's say. And I would personally say I would prefer to ask for some changes in the character thinking or their storyline to be introduced and to come back as this character than start fresh. But I think it's up to you.
This is a game about a revolution, about rebellion, about war. I would like to see people playing the characters, not extremely carefully, like I need this character to survive. If it makes sense for your character to go all in, risk everything, and then die a heroic death, and you still want to come back, this is possible. And this is something that we want. So we do not want to shut you out of the game just because you made something that makes sense for your character. And the character died a heroic death. Because consequences are still important to us. Like Słowik said, it is important to come back as a different character. Let this do not impact the play that you have and the story that you tell.
Next question from the chat. If memory serves, you stated at some point that the game won't have time skips. So, assuming the game covers a period of 38 plus hours in real time, can you reveal anything about the setup or story of this specific chunk of time during the first episode?
A new group of officer candidates is introduced to the institute to be allocated to a unit and promoted to an officer rank almost immediately. The war needs heroes, and you are the heroes of the revolution. So the war needs you to basically conduct the war, to go with the technology to your units, to your ranks, to command people, and to actually bring a change to the course of the war, because it's not going terribly well. So that's the start. And during the initial event, the first game, you will be introduced to the cause of revolution and the course of the war that is happening, and you will be already able to influence during the first episode, to influence how the war will progress from that point on. Of course, not as an individual, but as some of individual initiatives that your characters will take. Then your influence will be pressed onto the world.
I just wanted to add one tiny bit. There will be a little bit of a time skip, because we want to give the groups, the national groups, a moment for themselves. So we want players to start in their national groups after the workshops, and then there will be a bit tiny time skip, different for different groups, because they are coming from different sides of the continent. So before they will start the training, there might happen a little time skip, but the rest of the episode 1 won't have any. But the other thing, and the other disclaimer, how the episode 2 will cover the time, we won't tell you right now, because it will also be decided on the events from the episode 1. And we don't want to stick with the same structure as we said previously. So maybe episode 2 will cover, 3 years after that episode 1. But we want to adjust that based on the players' decisions and where the story goes in chapter 1. Next question. How much will your class specialization change the gameplay? We've covered it a bit, but if we can sum up it really quickly.
Well, the shortest answer is greatly. It will greatly affect what are you actually doing in game. You're allocated to a unit. The unit has a different task if it's a unit of breachers, and it has different tasks if it's a unit of engineers, spies, medics, or alchemists. Those tasks are connected to studying of Krystalivm and its use, and the roles that Krystalivm will utilize within the war. So those tasks differ very much, and only for some part of experience, everybody in the game will be able to experience all of the activities at some point, and it's an early point actually. So after basically a 1 day of play, then those paths will diverge massively for the specializations. And different places, different activities, different outcomes, and different type of experience that you will be able to have a taste initially during the first day and a half of the game to make you aware of what kind of game each specialization might give you.
Yep. And we are also thinking about some kind of tweaks and changes in chapter 2. So maybe we will have a short training session that can be covered by spies and breachers, for example, like maybe some kind of assassination, or maybe by spies and alchemists. Maybe we will do some poisons or things like that. So we want to give different experiences to different specialties, but we also want to spice it up and mix it up in the next installment, in the next chapter for the story. How much of this game will be the boot camp aspect of military training, and will that change based on your character's rank?
Everybody will be an officer of varying seniority, but still an officer. So no actual boot camp, because this war is not about soldiers that mean nothing. It's about very influential people that drive the whole war. So no actual boot camp. We are all gentlemen or gentle people, and we are all at the level that boot camp would not be suitable. We will have some initial training of sorts to accustom everybody with technology. And coming back to one thing that Lina already asked, those with senior ranks and with established specialties will know a bit more and will have some additional duties connected to their role within the Firestarter project.
There are a lot of projects, or there were some projects that had this bootcamp experience where people were making push-ups, being shouted at, being treated as people who don't know anything about world, and we don't want that. And we don't want the story about discovering yourself. There is a lot of LARPs about it too. We want the LARP about people who already are some kind of specialists in their fields or have experience. They are chosen among thousands of soldiers or people who are not soldiers but are driving the case, because right now the war is happening between the whole empire and one little country, the Republic. And those different countries, they want to get freed from the Iron Tzar tyranny too. So those people will be some kind of special. So it's up to them if the revolution will go or not, and will it succeed or not. So we want you to think about those characters as characters that can change the history of this world, rather than like simple soldiers at the boot camp learning how to shoot a gun. Well, maybe we'll have some Krystalivm infused guns that are very special, and then we will show them to you, and you will have some special trainings. But we are not thinking about those characters as somebody who is starting their story. Let's think about the characters that already have a past, and right now they can choose the path, one of several paths they will take, and this way they will shape their future and the future of the whole continent. The next one is very, very nice, and I love it. Thank you, Sam, for the question. So, what are each of you most excited for in this game? Okay, so I can start. Most of the time, I'm playing LARPs for the stories. And I love the worlds that are firm enough to let me drive the story. So I want to be driving the car, and I love to make all the turns as I play the game. I also want to tell the stories that are meaningful. So of course I can have a nice simple and funny short story that will be with me for a month, but I crave for the stories that will stay with me for the rest of my life. I love the stories that are about important things for me as a person to think of and to learn something about myself or the world. And creating this game, this LARP, for me is having those bits together, because the world will be created as a living world and we don't know what will happen, and we will see what the players' decisions will be and then how the world will react. And I believe right now Levi already knows what kind of coteries are new to the Iron Throne and what people will be pushing what buttons or pulling what strings to reply for the next move of the Republic. And we are living in a world that is also right now driven by war and driven by some very powerful people or institutions that somehow oppress us. And this game reflects these things without being set in the close to home situation or situation that is reflecting our own lives, affecting our own lives, but this world that helps us to find a parallel stories that might be somehow connected to our stories. This is something that I'm like very hyped about, and I cannot wait for the project to be confirmed, because then we can start creating personal stories. Right now we are not writing any characters. We are thinking, okay, so this nation might have some similarities to this point of the history or this nation in the history, but we are not dwelling on that, and we are not diving in the personal stories. And for me, that will be also really nice, because right now we have a nice scaffolding and we want to build on that scaffolding. That's something that will be meaningful for players too.
Słowik, it's impossible to follow up on that.
I can add something. I think we all agree probably to what Słowik said. For my part, I'm excited about so many parts of this game, but essentially I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories and interesting settings and universes like the one of Krystalivm. And if you're as a LARPer like me, I like to live through situations and through plots that I can change and impact quite a lot. So this is what I LARP for, and also to be confronted with difficult, almost impossible situations, try to navigate those, try to interact with a lot of different aspects of the world. And when I then get into the role of an organizer, I like to create those impossible scenarios. So I'm going to be the mean one and confront you with those impossible things, that not the black and white decisions, because there will be no black and white decisions. There will be a lot of gray areas, and really throw this interesting plots and play things at you that you can shape and find a way out or find a way into, and collide with all those things that we prepare for you. So I'm really excited to play with this universe and these characters and shape it and make it interesting for you. It's a bit the mean side of being an organizer, because you can see like, okay, and now we players did this, and how do we react to that? And also the reactivity of this world and of this game that's what we mentioned. It's extremely exciting because we don't know what happens, and it's quite interesting to play in a world like this, because we need to be agile with that. We need to allow a lot of those aspects, and I'm quite excited about the story that we will tell together.
Maybe I'll add something on a super different note. I'm super excited about a group of people that we will be cooperating with. do you think that I can share this classified information? So yeah, you will be the first to know that we agreed to cooperate, or they agreed to cooperate with us. Frivolous Engineering. So it's a group of crazy talented people that can deliver wonderful technological solutions and game mechanics that will enrich the experience of all of us, basically, because like creating the technology is also part of the fun. So Frivolous Engineering is a group of people that will help us in seeing the technology work and to use the Krystalivm as we intend to use it. And they are bringing a lot to the table and a lot of really well thought mechanics and game design elements that without their technical background and a deep understanding of how to create play through those mechanics, that wouldn't be available for us otherwise. So I'm super excited about their part in the project.
I want to add two things. They're smaller scope, but I am so curious of the faces of the people who've LARPed at Moszna Castle when they see it in our version of the world. Because recently, when we were going to the location, we were thinking how we can flip the castle to use some different parts of it in different ways that are already known to people, and how we can incorporate some of the boring off-game things into nice experiences for you. So this is something that I'm also hyped about. The different use of the spaces that are already well known among people, and how the castle itself will evolve as a place between the chapters, how it will change, and how it reveals some kind of secrets we prepared from the chapter to chapter. And the second thing, and that's a big scope, because if Krystalivm will be a success, if we will start this trilogy and the story, we have a lot of ideas for side quests, side missions. We want to take you to trenches. We want to take you to bunkers. We want to shoot different things at you as players and put you in a very difficult situations to, like, for you to experience horrors of war, name of the second episode. And this is a world that is so rich that we can use it, if you will know it and if you will love it as much as we do right now, to design different games in this world without these characters that are on the front. But have you imagined how would it be if you would be explorers and scientists going for the first time to dig out the Krystalivm and to learn their properties as the first one, like on this very oriental mission into the jungle, for example, or to the desert or whatever? Or could you imagine this noble men very close to Iron Tzar plotting maybe to assassinate them and to replace the Tsar with his daughter or son or something like that? So this high stakes political intrigue. Can you imagine something like that? Because I can, and this world gives a lot of possibilities to show different aspects of Krystalivm, different aspects of politics in this very saucy setting. So those two things to add. Okay, next question. Very simple, and I think Krasus can answer it. how many tickets you've sold by now, and addendum, how much I must rally my own networks.
Yeah, so I've checked a few minutes ago, and surprise, surprise, an additional ticket was sold today, more than I expected. So we have now 34 tickets sold. So we're basically almost halfway there. And based that on the initial days of signups, most of the tickets are sold, and then the other major part is in the last 2 or 3 days. So I think maybe we can expect that like 80 or 90% of tickets might get sold. So we might be missing 8 to 10 to maybe 12 people to run this event, basically. Yeah, that would be my prognosis for now. Yeah, I'm confusing with the math. Sorry. So maybe let's say we are basically halfway there to running the event. We are 46 people away from actually deciding that we are able to run it and not pay out of pocket for it. And yeah, there's a lot of spots left, because the castle will fit 130 players.
Okay, not a question as much, but a sentence from LARP Guide that caught the person's eye, and they want us to elaborate on it. LARP is a multisensory medium, and we want to give players the opportunity to take part in practical activities that engage all the senses. So I can start. That will be a short introduction, and I believe Krassos will take over. We know that some of the LARPs are mostly about going around and talking about things. And we wanted to give people the opportunity with the setting and the practical design to do more, to have more physical interaction with the world we are creating. Interface of the game is like built on different activities. So you can not only use your eyes or your ears or your mouth, but you will also be touching things, making things with your hands. You will engage physically. Sometimes you will need to use some more power and more energy to do stuff. Some of them will be smelly and maybe unpleasant. Some of them might be very loud. So this is basically this.
Well, you've covered almost all of the senses. So I'll add that part of the experience is experiencing emotions, and our bodies are constructed that way that if we feel a sensory input and we have a filter of a story, of a setting, of a social situation that can allow us to interpret those sensory inputs in a particular way, then our bodies start to transform those sensations and those storylines into actual emotions. The emotions that our bodies are feeling in that moment are very, very real and visceral. And that moment is what I love about LARPing the most. And I think that being focused on that moment gives me the ability to sometimes give those moments to the players. For example, it's different to feel cold when your character is stepping out from a luxurious party. You feel the cold, but it means something different. It's a moment of relief between loud activities in the party, from you're coming out from a very warm room that is full of people that are maybe not super nice to your character. Then the cold and the situation starts to feel like a moment of relief. You cannot be there very long because it's very cold, but still it's very pleasant to feel that cold. It's super different than the cold that you feel in a windy corridor in the basement of the castle, when you don't know what's behind the corner, what can attack you. Then the cold that you feel is the uneasiness, is transformed into a feeling of uneasiness and maybe discomfort. And the sensory input is the same. So by driving the situations and the sensory inputs in a particular way with an outcome in mind, we can build some amazing emotions and some super memories on top of them.
Question about the costume. There were trousers mentioned, but would skirts also be okay? Probably depends on the specialty. But be prepared that at the beginning of the game, you will go through the basic part of each of the specialty experiences. So maybe for the breachers, trousers would be more suitable or more comfy. But after that, if you will decide on the specialty that isn't not involving running and I don't know falling around on the grass, the skirts might be good. Idea: wear trousers under the skirt. Yeah, problem solved. Thank you. So, thank you for the meeting. Thanks for all the questions. We hope you learned more and your questions were answered the way now you know more about the project. And we hope to see you in March at the first chapter of Krystalivm. And we hope to have the minimum number confirmed so we can start this preparation and production of this project. Thank you. Thanks, Justine. Thanks, Krassos, for being here. And see you at the LarPs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.